I thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call this hearing to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and the traditional lands of the Ojibwe, the Cree, Dakota peoples, and in the national homelands of the River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ron Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this morning. Introducing the panel members via Zoom will be Diane Knight and Mr. Ian Mahone. And our secretary this morning is going to be Nicole Carnegie. Representing the city of Winnipeg from the assessment department is Roddy Pontanilla. And pardon me, we'll be hearing application for revision of the business assessment rule in accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we'll limit discussions to those matters. The statements that are made in this hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by City Council and is independent, along with the City Administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision in respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to application from exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this morning, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property be addressed with each of the applicants following the swearing in. It'll be then the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have. Then it'll be the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each party will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application is brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket this morning. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. This morning, we'll be hearing items 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 11. So I ask Ms. Carnegie to affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Rodrigo Pontanilla.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Howard Lindsay McCubbin.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Pontanilla and Mr. McCubbin, we'll just go through the docket as it appears. So we're first going to be going to 6650 Roblin Boulevard. Mr. Pontanilla, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. So up next, we have file 22-4423. The roll year is 2023. The address is 6650 Roblin Boulevard. The business assessment ID is 226, and the owners are TD Canada Trust. The original valuation for business assessment has gone out at $181,920. This was being driven by an area total of 4,500 square feet and an overall price per square foot of $40.43. For this income stream, we do have one premise associated. As previously mentioned, it's 4,500 square feet at a base rental rate of $37.93 per square foot. And then once we add on utility costs, we get the total original annual rental value of $181,920. And I do have a recommendation to make on this file.
Go ahead, Mr. Pontanilla.
Okay, so as previously mentioned, the original rental rate was $37.93 for 4,500 square feet, which gave us our original annual rental value of $181,920. For the adjustment, we're adjusting the rental rate down to $32 per square foot. So at 32 bucks, the annual rental value is now 144,000. And then when you add on the utility costs, we get a total annual rental value of $155,280. So the recommendation is for 155,280.
Ms. McCummon, are you in agreement with the recommendation?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we are in agreement.
Okay. Panel members, any questions in regards to the recommendation from the city?
No, sir.
None for me, thanks.
Okay. Let's move on to the next item, which is, I think it's a little out of order, but we'll do it that way. 3360 Portage Avenue. That's the way it appears there. It is number 11, but Mr. Panania, are you in agreement with that, or do you want to just continue on to 1700 Cordon?
I'll follow
Whatever
your
you-
lead on, it's all the same for me, so I can follow your lead on whatever you
Okay,
order you wanna go.
let's go to Portage Avenue then. 3360.
Okay.
The floor is yours, sir.
All right. Okay, so up next we have file 22-4259. The roll year is 2023. The address is 3360 Portage Avenue. And the business assessment ID is 41906. And the owners are Cal Tire. The total annual rental value is $250,620. This is being driven by a total area of 7,868 square feet and an overall annual rental value price per square foot of $31.85. As previously mentioned, we have one premise associated at 7,868 square feet. We have a base rental rate on the premise of $29.35 per square foot. And then once we add on the utility costs, we get the original valuation of $250,620. And I do have a recommendation to make on this file.
Go ahead.
So the original rental rate of $29.35, that rental rate is now going to be adjusted down to $27.33 per square foot, which gives us a revised base annual rental rate value of $215,030 rounded. And then when we add on the utility costs, we have a total revised annual rental value of $234,720, 234,720.
Mr. McCummon, are you aware of it and are you in agreement?
Yes, I'm aware of it, Mr. Chairman, and we are in agreement with that.
Okay, panel members, any questions in regards to the recommendation?
No, sir.
No, Mr. Chair, thanks.
Okay, let's go to 1700 Cordon Avenue. Mr. Panania, whenever you're ready.
Okay, just give me 1 minute here to open up my file.
Yeah.
All right, up next we have file 22-4341. The roll year is 2023. The address is 1700 Cordon Avenue. The business assessment ID is 18988. We have a total annual rental value, and this is the RBC. So we have a total annual rental value of $158,100. This is being driven by a total area of 6,103 square feet and an overall annual rental value price per square foot of $25.91. So we do have one premise associated on the income stream. It's 6,103 square feet at $23.41 per square foot. And then once we add on the utility costs, we come to the total annual rental value of $158,100. So we do have some lease information on file. So for this subject, we have a lease beginning in 2017 for 6,103 square feet at a reported rent of $24 per square foot. Following that, I have included some rent comparables that have leases ranging from 2008 starting at the lower end up into 2021 at the higher end. And I do have areas ranging from looks to be 3,325 square feet at the lower end up to 8,009 square feet at the higher end. And I do have rental rates ranging from $24 at the lower end up to around $40 at the higher end. Following that, on page 2, you'll see the parcel layout, and you'll note the subject is on the left side of the picture there, of the overhead view. Following that, we have the Google Street View image of the subject property. So you can see it's the RBC that we're speaking of. And then following that, on page 4 and taking us to the end is a photo image of all the comparables that I've included. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Panania. Mr. McCubbin, questions of the assessor?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions of the assessor, and I will be asking for a confirmation of the value on this one, please.
Ms. Knight, any questions regards to the assessor's presentation?
No, sir.
I thank you. Mr. Mahone?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. McCubbin, you're seeking the confirmation of the value?
That is correct. We're in communication with the client on this. So.
Okay. Okay, let's go on then. Let's go to 2030 Cordon Avenue.
Yep.
Mr. Patania, whenever you're ready.
Sure. More to go here. Okay. So up next, we have file 22-4412. The roll year is 2023. The address is 2030 Cordon Avenue. The business assessment ID is 7145. And the owners are TD Canada Trust. We have a total annual rental value of $140,160. This is being driven by a total area of 5,885 square feet and a total price per square foot of $23.82. On this income stream, we do have two premises associated. On the first premise, 3926, or sorry, on the first premise, we have 3,926 square feet at a base rental rate of $24.58 per square foot to give us a base annual rental value of $96,501. And then when we add on the utility costs, we have a base annual or a total annual rental value of $106,320. On the second premise, which is the second floor, we have 1,959 square feet at a base annual rental value of $14.76 per square foot. And then once we add on the utility costs, we have a base annual rental value of $33,840. And when we add those two together, we get the total annual rental value of $140,160. And I do have a recommendation to make on this file.
Go ahead, sir.
So originally we had the two premises associated, one at $24.58 and the other at $14.76. The adjustment that we're putting forward is to have a blended rate on both premises of $19 per square foot. So at $19 per square foot with the utility costs associated, the first premise, 9231, now has a total annual rental value of $84,420. And the second premise now has a total annual rental value with utility costs of $42,120. And when you combine those together, the total revised annual rental value is $126,540. 126,540.
I thank you, sir. Mr. McCubbin, are you in agreement?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. We are in agreement.
Okay. Panel members, any questions in regards to the recommendation?
No, sir.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let's go on to 677A Stafford Street. This is the No Frills store. Mr. Potania, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, just opening my files and Excel's being a little weird here, but one more second. Okay, so up next we have file 22-4278. The roll year is 2023. The address is 677 Stafford A Street or Stafford Street A. The business assessment ID is 56186 and the business name is No Frills. The total annual rental value is $296,160. This is being driven by a total area of 19,639 square feet and a total annual rental value price per square foot at $15.08. On the income stream, we do have one premise associated. It's at 19,639 square feet at a base rental rate of $12.58 per square foot. And then from there, once you add on the utility costs, we do get our total annual rental value of $296,160. We do have some information on the lease for the subject. So we have a lease starting in 2017. It's a 15-year lease at 19,639 square feet at $11 per square foot. And then for my rent comparables, I have included comparables that have leases starting ranging from 2003 at the lower end up to 2019 at the higher end. And I do have areas ranging from 30,000 or 24,147 square feet at the lower end up to 98,570 square feet at the higher end. And I do have rental rates ranging from looks to be $12 at the lower end up to about $16.75 at the higher end. On page 2, you'll note the subject's overhead view of the subject property. So you can see its location there on Pembina and Harrow Street. Following that on page 3 is a subject, is an image from Google Street View of the subject property. And then on page 4 and taking us to the end of my brief is the photo evidence for the comparables that I've included in the brief. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McCubbin, questions of the assessor?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions and we'll be asking for confirmation of the of the annual rental value, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you. Ms. Knight, any questions at all?
No,
in
sir.
regards to assessor or applicant? None?
No, sir. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Mahone?
None, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Pardon me. We'll go to 1181 Pembina Highway. This is the Royal Realty. Mr. Panania, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So up next, we have file 22-4569. The roll year is 2023. The address is 1181 Pembina Highway. The business assessment ID is 1005. And we have the owner as Royalty Realty Services Limited. The total annual rental value we have is $60,420. And this is being driven by a total area of 3,500 square feet at an overall price per square foot of $17.26. For the subject, we have one premise associated on the income stream. That premise is 3,500 square feet at a base rental rate of $14.77 per square foot to give us a base annual rental value of $51,695. And then once we add on the utility costs, we get the total annual rental value of $60,420. So we do have some subject lease information, but I believe that the subject, from my understanding, is owner occupied, although we do have owner occupied as no, it actually is owner occupied from my understanding. But we do have a rent that has been listed there. It's a monthly rent. It dates back to July 2003. It's for 3,500 square feet at a reported rental rate of $3.94. So it does not appear to be a market rent. And then from there, for the rent comparables, I have included some rent comparables that have leases ranging from 2011 or 2011 at the lower end, and then taking us as high as 2019. I have some reported areas ranging from 2,225 square feet at the lower end up to 4,096 square feet at the higher end. And I do have reported rents ranging from $13 at the lower end up to $20 at the higher end. On page 2, I have included an overhead view of the subject property, so you can see its orientation facing Pembina Highway there. And then on page 3, I have included an image of the subject property. And then on page 4, and taking us to the end of my brief, I have included images of all of the comparables that I've included. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Panania. Mr. McCubbin, questions of the assessor?
I have no questions for the assessor, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you. Ms. Knight?
Yeah, I do have a question. So all of your comparables, so Royal Realty, I'm taking it as offices, not a whole lot of selling items in it, as opposed to your comparables seem to be more hospital or medical or like Plato's Closet is a retail store, Winnipeg Cycle's a retail store, Encore's a retail store, then you've got a physiotherapist and a hair products place maybe. So is there any, do you have any comparables that would be office space?
Well, we actually have this space currently listed as a C2 retail space, so it's not actually listed as an office space.
Oh, okay.
So, I haven't inspected it myself per se, but it's not listed as an office space, so that's why I was just trying to compare apples to apples. Had I known, if that was the case, that there was that it was under an office use, then we could have included some rental rates. They might have been similar to what they're receiving for retail, but again, I included it based on just what we have it on file as.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Mahone?
I do. With respect to the photos and the business, I'm looking at the overhead shot, 1181 next to 1185, followed by 1187. This Royal Realty, this business is in a strip mall that fronts Pembina Highway. Is that, am I seeing that?
It does appear to be currently laid out as a strip mall with all the CRUs side by side, but I believe it has to do in the case with the parking. The parking isn't, from my understanding, adequate to be defined as a strip mall per se. So we still have it listed as I believe I'd have to look at the details, but I believe we have it listed as a retail or as a regional neighborhood shopping center. Just based on the layout, I guess, and the parking that goes around to the back. So that's probably the best I could say for that. It is laid out as a strip mall for sure.
Okay, and I guess just following up that, do you have any lease information or rental information with respect to the other CRUs in that building? 1185 and 87 look like they're similar size.
We did have some information on that. I believe I just wanted to include some comparables that weren't from the subject itself, just to get an idea of market rents. I don't have it in front of me there, so I'd have to look it up, but I think we did have some information in the mailer in regards to it.
Okay, thank you. That's those are my only questions.
Thanks.
I have no questions. So, Mr. McCubbin, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I can turn your attention to page 2, please. As you've heard, the applicant is Royal Realty Services Limited. They're the owners of the actual property itself, Mr. Chairman. The roll number is 1005. It's a rather old structure. It was built in 1953. It's a one-story. The premise here we're dealing here with today, as you've heard, is 3,500 square feet. The current annual rental value is $60,420, and we're requesting an annual rental value of $40,260. You can turn your attention to page 4 of my presentation, please. As you've heard, it's an older retail type strip mall property located on Pembina Highway. It's been there for many years, obviously. There are some issues with respect to parking. The land to building ratio for this type of property is fairly low at 2.38 to 1. There, if I can turn your attention now, and you know where the property is, and you've seen photograph of it. There's a photograph of the front of the property on my page 2 also. Along Pembina. Turning your attention to page 7, as you've heard, the assessee applied a rate of $14.77 per square foot to the 3,500 square feet of premise area. The subject premise is owner occupied. There was a hearing on the realty with respect to this property, Mr. Chairman. It was heard on January 25th. The board reduced the value from $2,315,000 to $1,681,000 at that point in time. The board accepted the net operating income calculated by Altus with a verbal capitalization rate of 7.5%. Now, the information that follows that, you can see that I presented here is exactly the information that was presented at the hearing on January 25th. We do have the tenancies within the property, and that's the property as a whole. You can see unit 1181, that's the subject premise, Mr. Chairman. A rent of $9 was ascribed to that premise area. And then we go down to 1185. You see that premise of 2,000 square feet. The net market rent is $10.50 per square foot. And you can see the lease start and lease end dates there. Local Sash, 1,500 square feet. A smaller premise, the smallest premise in the property is at $13 a square foot. And you can see the lease start and lease end date there. Serenity Pharmacy at 2,000 square feet. It's at $13.52 a square foot. That was used as the market rent, and that is the actual contract rent, Mr. Chairman, with the lease spanning from 2013 to 2023. CR Computers, another 2,000 square foot unit. The actual rent or the contract rent is $11. That was used as the market rent for that unit in realty, and they're on a month-to-month basis, beginning 2019. And finally, the Eiffel Tower, and that's 4,000 square foot, the largest one, and that's at $8, and that they're on a month-to-month basis. And they began in January of 2020, and they were at $8 a square foot. So the net rents above were negotiated just prior to the reference date in 2020 and 2019, present the best evidence of the achievable market rents of these units. A net market rent of $9 is applied to the owner-occupied unit in 1181. And this I'm reading, Mr. Chairman, verbatim from the presentation of the realty. So we've used that. I've used that in my calculation of the annual value or the rental value, annual rental value for this property, less occupancy costs, of course. So when we use $9 at the 3,000, at the 3,500 with the 3,500 premise here, we arrive at $31,500 as the rental value on a yearly basis. I should mention on page 8, you will see a table that was presented at the hearing, also to support rents in the subject property. We defer to the rents in the subject property because it's in a unique situation. It's an older building, and they are achieving those specific rents. They do have parking problems with respect to being a lower plant building ratio. So we've defaulted to everything that's going on within that property. So using $9 a square foot, Mr. Chairman, we arrive at $31,500, as I've said. We have no issues with the occupancy costs. So a total annual rental value for this property, we suggest it to be $40,250, and I asked for it to be reduced to that. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. Mr. Pontanilla, questions of Mr. McCubbin?
I have no questions. Thank you.
I thank you. Ms. Knight?
So in the board order, it states that the applicant provided a verbal income and expense in support of the reduction. So the properties that you are listing as your evidence to show an average of 1020, then he made a verbal recommendation for $9, or she made a verbal recommendation for $9. Is that what you're saying?
No, as far as I know, this was presented, there was a decision based on the capitalization rate. We moved off of the capitalization rate, Mr. Chairman. We had a higher capitalization rate, but the board did, if you look at the last page of my report, it shows you what was presented. And you can see the board used the $126,049 as the net operating income. And we had promoted an 8% cap rate, but at the hearing, I believe it's Mr. Kerry Reimer that presented this. Yes, and he moved off of his capitalization rate. He moved down to 7.5, and the board accepted that. So you can see the 126,049 divided by 7.5% will give you the exact amount that the board has reduced it to.
Okay, but and not on that page, it's showing 15,000 square feet at 1020 for 153,040 and continues down. So that's not 3,500 square feet.
Sorry, I'm losing you here.
So on that same page that you're talking about, where you have the net operating income at 126,049,
yes,
you're using 15,000 square feet at $10.20 for 153,040 less the vacancy, less the expenses, comes to the net operating income of 126,049.
correct.
So this is 3,500 square feet, correct?
Yes, it is. But if you look up there, you will see the 3,500 square feet in the workup, stratification basis, $9.
Oh, I see. This is for the whole
Yes,
strip
yes, sorry.
mall. I
Yep,
got it
for
now.
the
I got it
entire-
now. Okay.
An overall, that's an overall. value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go back to the board order.
Yeah.
Because the board order says the assessment value of the the applicant provided a verbal income and expense analysis in support of the reduction. So again, this verbal was $9 for Royal Realty, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mahone?
Just continuing on with what Ms. Knight said, the net market rent average for this area or this subject property, the strip mall, from the realty is $10.20. That's $1.20 higher than the rent that you've selected for Royal Realty. Can you tell us why? Why did you select something that was so significantly below what the average rent is for the other units?
Well, the average rent, Mr. Chairman, takes into consideration a units of 4,000 square foot at a high and 1,500 square foot at a low. When looking at this property, Mr. Reimer would have looked at the area of the subject premise and placed a reasonable rate on that specific premise of $9 based on its size also. So it's an overall, we have an overall value of 1020, but we're basing that's the danger about using averages. You're using a 4,000 square foot unit and you're using a 1,500 square foot unit and you're coming up with an average. Well, to bore into the information more, you can see that 4,000 square foot unit was renting at $8 a square foot. We're not at $8, Mr. Chairman. We're at $9 for 3,500 square feet.
Okay, but the Eiffel Tower has been there for 30 years. has it not?
It's been there for some time. I don't know the exact time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Have nothing further.
I do have a further question, sorry.
Go ahead, Diane.
Your comparables,
Yes.
are they all the same sort of strip mall, no parking available?
No, the comparables, you know,
Same type of
I'm going to
units?
retract. I don't know very much about my comparables. I depended solely on what was presented here. And
Okay, all right, thank you.
with respect to the realty, and that's what I'm basing my information on.
All right, thanks.
I thank you. Mr. McCubbin, this used to be, this particular unit in the whole area used to be Sutton Realty, did it not?
I believe it was at some point in time, yes.
Okay, yeah. And really, it's got a civic address of 1181 Pembina Highway, but basically the unit itself fronts Stafford Street, does it not?
On Stafford? I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
The fronts on Stafford. That's a good question.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it does. Anyways,
It seems to be the last unit, yes, in the
yeah,
building.
it's the
Yes,
very
it
last
is.
unit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it's the
you
last unit.
say,
Yeah,
it's got limited parking because it is like a strip mall along there.
right. And there is the train tracks right behind it also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I thank you. Summation, either party?
Not for me, Mr. Chairman.
Not for me, thanks.
All right. Let's go on to the last one that we have is 3260 Portage Avenue. Mr. Pontanilla, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Still bring up the files. Okay. So the last file we have on the docket is 22-4421. The roll year is 2023. The address is 3260 Portage Avenue. The business assessment ID is 4854, and the owners are TD Canada Trust. The total annual rental value is $285,180. This is being driven by a total area of 6,500 square feet and a total overall price per square foot of $43.87. For the subject property, we do have one premise associated at 6,500 square feet. And we do have a base annual rental value of $268,905 being driven by a rental rate of $41.37 per square foot. And then once we add on the utility cost, we get the revised total annual rental value of $285,180. For the subject property, we do have some lease information on file. We have one premise at 6,500 square feet at $32 per square foot. And the lease was started in 2019. And I do have a recommendation to make on this file.
Go ahead, sir.
And so the recommendation is to go from the $41.37 that the model had originally valued on the premise to $32 per square foot. So at $32 per square foot, the revised base annual rental value is $208,000. And then once we add on the utility costs, we get a revised total annual rental value of $224,280, $224,280.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McCubbin, are you in agreement?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are in agreement with that annual rental value of $224,280.
I thank you. Ms. Knight, any questions in regards to what you've just heard?
No, sir.
I thank you. Mr. Mahone?
No questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. McCubbin, I think that ends your part here. So results very soon via mail. So thank you very kindly for your presentation and have a good day.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Fontania, thank you for your excellent work. And we have heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you, Mr.
So-
Chair. Thank you, panel members.
Thank you.
Thank
Howard.
you. Have a good day.
You too.
Yeah, you too. You as well. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
care.
Secretary, we're going to probably take a good 5 minutes while
Okay.
Mr. McCubbin exits, etc. And we'll shut it down and then reconvene, say 9:50, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good. Enjoy the cottage, Howard.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Okay,
you.
have a good day. Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.